Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Eric Shiraev. I teach international relations, and today we will continue studying international relations and national politics. We have studied several topics so far together, and we examined realism, realpolitik, with emphasis on power and balance of power and sovereignty. We examined liberal theories or liberalism, which is a critical theory, with applications, which challenge realism and focus on international organizations, cooperation, and values, common values. Then we began to study constructivism, an alternative theory which suggests you're right, power is important. International institutions and cooperation are important. However, constructivists say, you didn't say what causes those motivations and what motivates states to act this way or another. And constructivists suggest that our reality is socially constructed, and what is chaos or destruction from one standpoint, it's not such from the other standpoint or another standpoint. Today, we will discuss so-called conflict theories. The term itself is not necessarily the best, because if you feel the association conflict is about, well, it's about violence, it's about disagreement, it's about injustice, it's about something just two sides disagree and then can find an agreement and there's a conflict between them. It's just a phrase which stands for several points of view and their applications. In particular today, I will be happy to discuss with you topics associated with subjects referring to Marxism. Let me just find my slide, first of all, for you. Sorry about this. And the Marxism and Marxism-related theories. And the second subject would be feminism and its impact on international politics yesterday and today. As I said, conflict theories emphasize many sources or contradictions and tensions among social groups, economic, social, political, and they are at the core of the problems. And addressing those contradictions should, in the minds of supporters of those theories, should make a difference in international politics. Applied to international relations, conflict theories highlight the role of social classes, ruling elites, and other dominant groups in shaping global affairs. So it's not really a departure from realism and liberalism or constructivism. They all discuss conflicts, right, between states, among states, between interests, but those theories do not emphasize conflict. These theories that we'll study today do emphasize the conflict, and that's the essence. Every theory eventually would overlap, and we can find elements of every theory almost everywhere, in every other theories, and many other theories. But this is an important point. Conflict is emphasis here. We begin with Marxism. Marxism, which is a theory and also applied theory. It's also an ideology, so a cohesive set of ideas, and also which became part of political institutions in many countries in the world. Marxism takes its roots in many theories, many philosophers and philosophies and points of view. But we'll begin with the founders of these theories: Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. It is shown in the picture. These individuals, they are German-born economists, philosophers, thinkers. Marx tried his career in journalism. Didn't continue. Engels was born to privilege. His father was a wealthy industrialist, and they both traveled and both saw the world. So they were founders of ideas, which I'll explain it to you. Then it was Vladimir Lenin. It's a person of Russian descent who not only did he study Marxism and so admired the works of Marx and Engels, Lenin, was able to apply these ideas of Marxism, ideas, to the reality of Russian Empire. And then he was a head of a revolution of 1917, which was inspired by ideas of Marxism. And also Lenin and his followers, such as Stalin, implemented those ideas to build not only government institutions, but the economy, agriculture, social institutions, culture in a country called Soviet Union and other countries, based on ideas of Marxism. So Marxism was evolving, and Leninism changed something in Marxism. Stalinism changed something in Leninism. I'll mention about those changes briefly. And then I must say the name of Mao Zedong, who was a head of a Chinese Communist Party, and the person who was a founding father of People's Republic of China. From 1948, China became a communist country, and the communist country, just when you hear a communist country, this should be this country ideology, institutions, decisions, educational system, everything is supposed to be based on ideas of Marx, then Lenin, then Stalin, and then Mao. Quite often you see those individuals on banners or posters or mentioned together. Everyone contributed something to the theory of Marx. But see, if you look back to realpolitik and liberalism and constructivism, those theories explain international politics. True, people in power, presidents and prime ministers and military commanders use those ideas to interpret reality and build their policies and foreign policy on those ideas. But these are not, essentially, were not as powerful and profoundly important as ideas compared to Marxism. So Marxism was a set of mind of many who were really compelled to implement those ideas and use them, try them in their lives. So Marxism is a social, political, economic theory that interprets international relations as a struggle between states representing, that's important, ruling elites interested in control over territories, people, and resources. Karl Marx and Engels regarded human history as driven by the struggle between social classes, so-called the haves and the have-nots. The core idea of Marxism, and if you ask people who know something about Marxism, or if you ask me to make a very short statement, just in 2, 3, 4 sentences, what is Marxism? What is this? And instead of giving a long lecture, I could say that the core idea of Marxist theories is the rejection of private property. Don't worry, private property is not just taking away your pencil or your possessions, just your razor, your smartphone. This is your personal property. Although in some communist societies, the governments will go that far, confiscating that's the private, your personal property. But overall, personal property is your personal property. It's the things you wear, the things you have in your possession, your spoons, your blankets and your notebook, your computer. But private property is the type of property which generates value. So just, for instance, you drive Uber, you receive an order, and a person comes, and you drive the person to place A, place B, and then you receive money for this. There we go. Just don't be confused. Oh, professor, just smile. Yes, but you use the car to generate value for yourself. So you work certainly, but you work and you make money for yourself. Oh, well, is it? But there's Uber, the company, which charges a lot, and they get only a fraction of what they get. True, but they provide the software which you use to connect to other drivers. But that's the point of Marxism. If I were to interpret this for you, that's the Uber just uses this property, the software, which they use to generate value. and they would say, by exploiting other people, including you as a driver, and exploiting other people who service the car and help them to build the software. And that's basically what they do. By using software, they generate value for themselves. And they generate the value so that they have more money and resources that they need. Very important point. Marxism was very, very jealous and very careful about how much we need to have to sustain our life, to sustain our well-being, if you will. Speaking strictly, that's according to Marxism, we don't have to have the massive amounts of everything that people accumulate. 25-bedroom apartments and 55 car garages and billions of dollars in accounts, even millions. Just excess. So we need to have basically things that we need to have just to survive. I will not exaggerate and discuss other theories that reflect Marxist view of private property and need, but that was the idea. So the private property is the core of inequality among us. And private property is the reason why we have conflicts in society. A society is split and divided into groups which relate differently to private property and possessions or resources. Marxism doesn't care much about ethnicity, religion, race, gender. They care, but they say that there's a secondary. They say our divisions, racial divisions, ethnic, religious, gender divisions, are based on fundamental class inequality. And it's not about cash you have, but it's about your relation to private property you have. So a person without any property is, in fact, a proletarian or just a person without private property. It's a decent person because his or her interests are in securing their well-being, and just to getting conditions under which he or she can survive and live a decent life. For those who have private property, key interest is to keep it and don't let others to get a share of their property. This is a famous picture you can find everywhere in the web about the division of society on those who work and produce material products and services, those who use those services, those who exploit, on top of them just the political and religious and government elites. Only when people without resources, without power, the proletariat, the workers, industrial workers, only they could, according to Marxism, save the humanity and the internal cycle of wars and injustice, because as soon as the working class will just destroy that world. And why destroy? Because the owners of the means of production would never, ever, ever give up the property just because they want to give it up, according to Marxism. The property must be taken from them, and it is not be taken, could not be taken through the just gradual reforms. It should have been taken through the quick and decisive revolution. So the proletariat will play a biggest role, a leading role in that process. But why not peasantry? But 19th century and beginning 20th century, most people on earth were peasants. That's the key. So if you understand this, understand Marxism. Peasants, they're poor. However, they do have property. A cow, a camel, an orchard, a little plot, not much. They're not rich, and yet they do have property. So therefore, their mind, their lives, their motivation somehow is attached to their property, and their interests are to defend their property, which makes them less revolutionary than the working classes. They sell their mind, sell their muscles, sell their time to capitalists who give them just only portion of compensation and keep the rest of it. And that's what make working class the most eligible for social change in the world. So therefore, professors, teachers, doctors, peasants, engineers, they may have a great revolutionary idea in their minds. However, they are not pure, quote unquote, because they do have some connection to property and resources they have. and only working class proletariat can achieve this success. Well, Marxism believed that Marx himself believed that it would take just a few years, maybe a little bit longer, but somewhere, somehow, 19th century, maybe later, working class would grow in numbers. They will educate themselves, and they finally will take over the world and will take through the process of a world revolution. Lenin, Russian individual who accepted ideas of Marx, also believed in this, but believed that it will take a few years and the whole world will engulf in a communist revolution, and the whole world will become equal, the world equals, established peaceful and just republic of human beings. It didn't happen.